Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Minister. Minister, I've raised this issue on quite a number of occasions. I've been campaigning on this issue for quite a number of years myself. The local Labour Party, our local area representative Shane Folan, and indeed this impacts on my colleague Duncan Smith as well, as it kind of borders his constituency too, referencing the Dublin 13, Dublin 17 area, where you'll be aware, Minister, there are literally thousands and thousands and thousands of new units being constructed. It is effectively a new town, and within that new town we do need not to repeat the errors of the past when new communities have been constructed, that we only built dwellings and didn't build the community infrastructure. And obviously there are other things that are needed rather than just a Garda station. We've been to the forefront of advocating for new schools, and we had a successful campaign to have a new second-level Educate Together school. But more is needed. More absolutely is needed for families to grow up and for the place to feel secure. So in that area there has been an identifiable need which has been recognised by the Department of Justice and indeed Senior Garda Management for a new Garda station. The site has been identified at Northern Cross. And in June of 2019, the Assistant Garda Commissioner gave notice that they were moving to progress the construction of a new Garda station there at that location, which would serve the existing communities in Dublin 17 and in Dublin 13 and the wider communities as well. And I think if you do move to a new area and things begin to knit themselves together, and you need the sporting clubs and you need the community associations, and you need to know that the agencies of the state are there to serve you, to work with you, to protect you as well. Now, it has come to my notice in the more recent past there's been a number of troubling incidents in Father Collins Park. They have been of a physical assault nature. They have been of a verbal assault nature. There has been a racial component to it, and this has been bubbling under the surface for quite a number of years, unfortunately, Minister. So that is not to suggest in any way that part of the world is any different to any other part of the city. Every part of the city has its policing concerns, has its antisocial behaviour concerns. But we've had issues around Clongriffin Dart Station as well, which has been targeted with antisocial behaviour. So when we started this advocacy, with myself and Shane Folan and other Labour Party members began this advocacy with the Clongriffin Community Association, who had identified this need when they made presentations, it was very welcome that those in government at the time and indeed Garda senior management were listening and identified the validity of the case that was being made. Now, the political response has always been that this is a matter for Garda management, but we felt that was a dispiriting enough response when government at the time could see fit to reopen Garda stations that had been closed. And of course, I'm going to reference Step Beside Garda Station when I think of that. However, it is a good news story. Community gets involved. Community wants to look to the future, wants to build an area that they can be proud of, wants to focus on community infrastructure. Government responds positively. The Assistant Garda Commissioner responds positively, and we are in a position now, hopefully, to move forward. What I want now, as I raise as often as I possibly can, Minister, is to get an update on where we are on the construction of this Garda station at that site at the corner of Northern Cross there on Malahide Road to serve the Dublin 13, Dublin 17 and wider jurisdiction around there.
And to respond on behalf of Minister McEntee. Minister McEntee is pleased that Budget 2022 reflects the commitment of the Government to ensuring our communities are safe and that An Garda Síochána has the resources to be an effective and trusted police service. The budget provided by Government to the Garda Commissioner continues to increase to unprecedented levels with an allocation of over €2 billion in funding for this year. As the Deputy is aware, the Garda Commissioner is by law responsible for the management and control of An Garda Síochána and for the effective and efficient use of Garda resources, including the provision of Garda stations. In addition, the Office of Public Works has responsibility for the provision and maintenance of Garda accommodation. Garda accommodation matters are therefore progressed by the Garda authorities, working in close cooperation with the OPW. As such, the Deputy will appreciate that Minister McEntee has no role in relation to this matter and is not in a position to comment on Garda Síochána's interaction with other agencies. As the Commissioner has previously stated, accommodation is a crucial element of facilitating policing activities, and we must further prove this in the area. It is for this reason that Garda Síochána continue to engage with the OPW on capital and maintenance works across Ireland. And this includes what the Commissioner has referred to as an exciting project that Garda Síochána are working on with the OPW and Dublin City Council regarding the development of a substantial new Garda station and facilities on Dublin City Council lands at the corner of the R139 at Malahide Road at Northern Cross. The Minister understands that discussions around the DCC possibility making a site available to Garda Síochána and the OPW for the construction of a new Garda station at Northern Cross remain ongoing. As the Deputy can appreciate, until a site is secured, no further update on the status of the application for planning permission or further phases of the project would be available. However, the Minister is assured that the Northern Cross project is considered a strategic priority project by Garda Síochána. I hope this is of some assurance to the Deputy. I know you've raised it consistently with the Minister directly, and I do think it's important, as you said, in terms of good community infrastructure. We look at our census data and where populations are increasing. I think it's vitally important that communities feel safe, and those issues that you've raised about assaults and antisocial behaviour, they're not exclusive to this area, but I think it's important that people particularly report everything, particularly racial abuse. It's vitally important that that's reported, but I do hope that the response from the Minister gives some assurance to the Deputy.
Thanks, Minister, and I am reassured by the response from the Minister. I do sometimes get a little bit disappointed with the political reaction, as if there is no influence that the Minister can have in this regard, where we know that the soft power of a Minister can be quite strong. The Minister needs to be an advocate for this, a persuader for this, and I think her office and her department needs to be fully engaged on the progress of this, because while the Garda Commissioner has described it as exciting and the site has been identified and talks are ongoing between Dublin City Council and the OPW, the community are still waiting, and there have been justifiable delays. COVID was obviously one reason for that, but yet we are still seeing huge construction around that area. I want, as a public representative, with other public representatives, to be able to stand over our period of influence in that area in 50 years' time to say that we put everything in place to ensure that that area was going to be a thriving community, a place to be proud of, a place to bring up children, a place for families to feel safe and secure. So I don't like this sort of arm's length response that we often get from departments, as if there's no influence that can be brought to bear. But having said that, what I would want the message to go back to the Minister is that we would like her to be a persuader for this, to be actively engaged in it, to understand if there's anything that her department can do to make this process easier, that she is willing and able and at hand to be a facilitator of that. But in that regard, I will continue to raise it, Minister. I'm not going to let it go, but I do feel that we have to move to a position where that Garda station is constructed, so that communities can feel that the community infrastructure is going in, and that they live in a proper community, and that they have all those services and resources that a Garda station will provide for them and for the wider area.
Absolutely. And of course, you will appreciate, of course, that the Garda Commissioner is by law responsible for the management and administration of Garda Síochána, including personnel matters and deployment of resources. The allocation of Garda resources is made in light of identified operational demand. As such, the Minister for Justice has no direct role in the allocation of Garda resources. The Minister is advised that Dublin Metropolitan Region North has, as of 31st of May, the latest date for when figures are available, a strength of 793 Garda members in all its ranks. And this is an increase of 125 members, or 18.7%, since the end of 2015. The division is currently further supported by 64 Garda staff, an increase of 20, or almost 45.5%, since the end of 2015. And for the Deputy's information, the area referred to is covered by Coolock Garda Station, and there were 125 Gardaí assigned to Coolock Garda Station as of May 31st, which is an increase of 21.4% since the end of 2015, when 103 Gardaí were assigned to that station. Gardaí and Coolock Garda Station are supported by 15 Garda staff members. As I've said, the Government is committed to ensuring that Garda Síochána has the resources it needs with an unprecedented allocation provided in Budget 2022 of over €2 billion. The Deputy may be aware that there was a very strong interest in the recent Garda recruitment campaign, with over 11,000 people applying to become a member. The recruitment process is continuing to identify candidates to enter the Garda College over the coming period. And again, to reiterate and to reassure the Deputy that the Northern Cross project is considered a strategic priority project by Garda Síochána. So, again, to use your own considerable influence to get this project to fruition. Go